College fantasy gymnastics update. We're recording this on January 15th, 2024. Who's the steal? Who's going to be on bye? Who are your biggest risks? Who are your easiest 10s? Welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation, and this is our very first standalone fantasy gymnastics update. So if you're just discovering us for the first time, welcome to GymCastic. We're the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. Like I just said, we've been around for 11 years. We just launched our inaugural fantasy gymnastics league, starting the 2024 NCAA season, and we will continue through the elite season, including the Olympic Games. So it's gymcastic.com/fantasy. And here's how it works. Spencer's dream, where we just talk about spreadsheets and numbers for a whole episode.
It's perfection. So how our fantasy league works is each person who signs up is given a fictitious $75,000 in salary, and each athlete's routine on each event has a cost. So you decide how you want to use that $75,000. If you want to spend a ton of it on the super highest value routines that we have assigned these prices based on people's scoring potential, or if you want to find those diamonds in the rough, that's up to you. You can use that $75,000 any way you want. You're tasked with picking a lineup of 5 athletes for each of the 4 events, so 20 routines overall. Highest score wins, and what you win is prizes every week all season long. So if you want to join halfway through, want to forget to update your lineup, or remember to update your lineup, it's all fine. You can keep playing.
I said, oh, that never happens to me.
Never happens to you.
That never happens to me. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Famously, Jessica always remembers to update her lineups every single week. I want to talk about some of the roster bargains that we have found after the first week of competition in college gymnastics. People who are getting 9 or higher, who maybe are a steal, not a super expensive, super famous routine like a Haley Bryant on vault or a Leanne Wong on anything, but are those undiscovered or maybe soon to be discovered diamonds.
Yes. Okay. So easy 9.9s or above. Everyone on this list scored 9.9 or above. Cal freshman, Kyan Mayhew, only 3,000, debuted her Yurchenko 1.5, stuck for a 9.95.
I would also keep an eye on Missouri freshman Hannah Horton, who has a Yurchenko 1.5 on vault. These freshmen we don't always know. She's come in very strong, fitting into that lineup very well. Also, Mackenzie Wilson of Kentucky, a gymnast we know pretty well from previous years. She's part of Kentucky's handspring pike half army, where they have these 10-0 starts, handspring pike halves again and again and again. They're fairly unusual vaults for college gymnastics because we usually see Yurchenko entries, but they all have them. Mackenzie Wilson has been anchoring Kentucky's lineup this year, which is kind of a surprise based on how the lineup has gone in the past, and she's getting huge scores as a reward for anchoring that lineup, so she's one to keep an eye on. And also Lali Dekanoidze at North Carolina, who we have a few people we know in the league who have picked her solely because her name is amazing, and it's Lali Dekanoidze. She's also amazing on bars famously, but she's been scoring very well on vault, so that's another potential steal.
And then Amari Drayton at LSU, and we know her from Elite Gymnastics, and she's at Simone Biles' gym, and now she's killing it as a freshman. So don't sleep on her as a vault bargain. And then, of course,
more than just Simone's friend.
That's right.
She's a gymnast.
She should have her bet on doing the twerk after bars. They should continue that because you can do that in college gymnastics, whereas elite gymnastics, they penalize you. So bars, bargains. Okay, Jennifer McMillan, Oregon State, only 2,000 you can get her for, and she gets a 9.9 or above.
So I think what everyone should do is Kaya Johnson of LSU, who we know very well. She's competed for many years. She missed almost the entirety of last season with injury. She's always been excellent on bars and hasn't really gotten the scores because she typically has led off LSU's lineup. They've moved her to the number 3 spot this year, and bingo, shock of the world, she's suddenly getting much higher scores for literally the same routine she's always done, but now she's getting more accurately rewarded for it compared to the other people in the lineup. So she only is at 3,000 because her scores have been good in the past, but not the highest, and now they're the highest, so I think it's worth it.
Super steals for Auburn, stalwart, Olivia Hollingsworth. Put her in your lineup. Also, Gianna Gertis from Minnesota, who I'm personally obsessed with. Also a great steal. Look for her if you're needing that 2,000 spot to fill out your roster for bars. Beam, we have always, of course, there's someone from Denver on here. Bella Mabanta, Add her. Gabby Wilson from Michigan, obviously member of the NCAA championship winning team, knows how to hit. And like, it's shocking that Spencer priced her so low when she's such a steal. That's what I'm saying. There's only so many $6,000 gymnasts, so you can get Gabby Wilson for much less.
I feel personally attacked right now.
Good.
First of all, and I'm gonna decide now to beat you in our fantasy league because I was on the fence about it before, but now based on that, I'm gonna beat you, and I'm gonna do it by picking Bella Salcedo from Penn State on beam, because we know that Penn State always has the potential to be beam ninjas because they are coached by Sarah Brown, formerly Sarah Shire, and a legend in her own right, coaching them on beam. We know they can be great.
By the way.
All right, that's not for this. Also, I would say Emma Andres of UCLA. UCLA has been searching for who's going to fill out that beam lineup. They have about 4 of the 6 spots have felt definite. They're looking for those other 2 people. This past week in week 2, she came into the beam lineup, never been in the lineup before, scored a 9.9. For me, I think she earned herself a spot in that lineup with that routine as we're going forward. So I would say that's a bargain. But the biggest bargain, the red alert steal bargain on beam.
The crazy bargain is Ohio State freshman Courtney McCann. You can get her for only $1,000. She got a 9.975 on beam. And like, some people get a score and we're like, we're not going to put them on the bargain because this probably won't ever happen again. She's legit, you guys, legit. Courtney McCann, put her on your team with 2 N's. Tell me about Claire Dean.
Yeah, Claire Dean at Stanford. She opened the season with a career high of 9.925 on beam. She currently sits ranked in the top 10. We often don't see people open the season with a career high if they're not like a freshman. And then, of course, you open the season with a career high. So if that's the starting point, that's going to be something to watch.
On floor, my steal is Ella Hodges, Ohio State. Get her. Also, I love Ohio State's energy floor routines is what I'm going to call them. Energizer Bunny floor routines. Amari Drayton, of course, at LSU. We talked about her previously.
That's potentially the risk reward alert, because I think her floor routine is amazing and she got a huge score in week 1, but she wasn't in the lineup in week 2. So it's a risk, but if she's in the lineup, it's going to be a gigantic number based on what we've seen so far.
Emma Spence of Nebraska scored a 9.9 on floor. Remember, she's a member of the historic Canadian Women's World Championship team that won a medal 2 years ago. It's already last year. It was Worlds 2022. Outspoken, safe sport advisor for the FIG. So lots of reasons to support her. Put her on your fantasy team.
Yeah, and this is another event where I would look at Hannah Horton, the freshman from Missouri, as someone who is already way exceeding expectations and looks to be a stalwart in that lineup for years to come.
All right. Tell the people more about the league and the things that happened.
Yes. So as we're recording this, there are a few meets left to wrap up on week 2. The scores will be updated by Tuesday. We already have our week 1 winner, which is icons only. And we need some help from the people because we're going to do an inaugural trophy for the winner of the season. And we need to know what it should be and what it should be called. Who has served the high scoring, the concept of high scores enough to deserve to have their name put on the trophy that will be awarded to who got the highest scores?
Should it be a gymnast holding a salad bowl over their head? And should the trophy be called the Carroll Cup after Carol are correct? We need your ideas. Comment your ideas so that we know what to call this. Also, Icons only got a 196.825. So that's what you're looking to beat.
That was the winning score.
First place.
Going up from there, unless you're us and you keep getting zeros. Your week 3 lineups are scheduled to lock on January 19th. That's Friday at noon Pacific time. Your week 2 lineup will carry over to week 3 if you decide not to change anything. But I encourage you to change things because sometimes you get a 0. Or heads up, Utah has a bye in week 3 because they had a 2-meet weekend in week 2. They competed Saturday and Monday in week 2. They're not competing for scores in week 3. So if you say have Miley O'Keefe's beam routine in your lineup, as many of the fantasy players do, that's going to be an automatic 0 in week 3 because Utah isn't competing. So change your lineup if that's the case, or get a 0 for the cause of keeping Miley in your lineup to support her anyway.
I stand behind that with Leanne Wong, always on my floor team. Okay, we want to tell you guys about some 10 deals that you can get. So in week 1, it was Sage Kellerman at Michigan State. She got a 10 on vault. She's only 3,000. She was our fantasy surprise. She has that handspring front pike half. It's not Haley Bryant, but it's close, and it got a 10. So you guys, here's another great vaulter that you can put.
Fantasy surprise of the college gymnastics season. It's not Haley Bryant as the highest scoring handspring pike half.
Week 2, MJ Frazier, 10 on beam, well-deserved, amazing ring leap, jump. She put a still of it up on her Instagram, which I'm like,
she was like, this is how this is supposed to look.
You're welcome.
I love that. Like, this is how this should look. I noticed some other people who are maybe not getting deducted for things that don't look like this. This is how it's supposed to look.
Any other league stats you want to share?
Yeah, so we have, unsurprising to me, despite Sage Kellerman being the highest scoring handspring pike half, the most chosen routine remains Haley Bryant's vault, which 55.9% of the players in the league have selected that in their lineup. Not a bad choice, because anytime she sticks it, as far as we're concerned, it's going to score a 10. So that's the most popular routine, but Sage Kellerman's vault has moved up to 3rd, and Gabby Gladio's floor routine is the 4th most picked routine, because she scored a 9975 in week 1, and that bumped her way up. She wasn't even one of the top 25 most selected routines before that. Now she's 4th. So we also have Lily Smith climbing the ranks with her bars routine that has invoked nostalgic memories of Nastia Lukin anytime anyone watches her. Huge score of 9975 in week 1.
I have some.
The real bargain for Lily Smith, though, might be her floor routine, because
that's right.
Maybe under the radar, everyone knows about her bars and her beam and the beautiful form, but she got a 9925 on floor. So maybe that's the true bargain, because we were ready for bars.
Yes. Floor was the surprise. Some injury and retirement news. So if you have these people in your lineup, Jerquavia Henderson, Iowa, I love her. She has retired. Oklahoma, Danae Fletcher on crutches at the last meet. UCLA's Sarah Ulias suffered an injury to her knee this past week. Nebraska's Lucy Stanhope injured on vault. Michigan's Farah Lipitz should be back later in the season, but as of right now is not in the lineups. Did we talk about the buys? Buys you need to know about for the upcoming week 3.
Utah. A reminder. Utah, no meets for scores in week 3. We also have some teams with 2 meets in week 3, including Ball State, including Eastern Michigan, Rutgers. 2 teams with 2 meets in a week are an interesting proposition, because in our league, if you compete twice in a weekend, it's your highest of the 2 scores that count. So basically you have 2 chances. If a gymnast falls in their first routine of the weekend, you get a freebie. They might hit the second time, or they might get taken out of the lineup, and then, you're out of luck. But it's an opportunity to save yourself if you maybe have a fall.
So next week, Ball State has 2 meets in week 3. We have a club that supports everything we do here, and part of that club is you get lots of extra stuff, including we do a Friday night live podcast, which you can join us live and ask questions and participate, or you can listen to it later. And that's called College and Cocktails. During the regular season, elite season, it's behind the scenes. And we pick a meet to watch, and then we discuss it as a family with a pre-scheduled mocktails and cocktails menu. This week's cocktail mocktail is Judge Juice, which obviously is the most important name.
Could be the cocktail every week.
So if you want to join us this week, we are watching the triple header on Friday night, January 19th, of Florida versus Auburn, Arkansas versus Alabama, and then Kentucky versus LSU. And we will be live at 7:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Pacific time this Friday night, January 19th. So until then, happy spreadsheeting. We'll see you on College and Cocktails. Thanks for listening.